What's good? What's good? It's your boy DJ Avo, and this is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 84. Let's go!
I don't know if it's right. Vic don't know if it's right. I can't even argue with Avo on this episode. What's good, brothers and babes? This is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 74. We think. This is where you come for your fantasy football needs and to chop it up about the latest NFL news. I am Dynasty Bro Dot here with my co-bro.
You got Dynasty Bro Vic. What's up? How y'all doing?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Am I looking at a football game behind Avo?
Come on,
What's
man.
going on right now?
I got the Super Bowl going, man. Tampa's up 7-0 right now, man. I'm just getting my predictions, just getting them right, honing them in. I think Tampa might score first according to Madden.
We'll see how accurate Avo's Madden game is. Hey, look, we got another episode with a fire guest today. So you know how we love doing these, man. We got my brother Matt Hicks in the building. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. This is my time of the year, man. It's draft season.
Yes.
We're excited too.
That's what I'm talking about. Look, draft season. Had to have you on to talk some of these prospects, man. And what we try to do this go around is not talk the obvious ones. Everybody's getting tired of us and ESPN talking about Trevor, talking about Najee and what he did to win that championship. We know the obvious guys. So we had to bring a professional on to help us talk about those secondary guys, the guys on the back end to help you fill out the first round of that dynasty draft, man. So that's what we're here for, to help you out on the things that's not so obvious, because you do need that sometimes. So I know that's going to be fire. I'm ready for that. And every time we got a guest on, we love to do the resumes. But before we get into the resumes, Matt, you have the floor. Tell everybody where they can follow you at. I need social media stuff, what you got going on, all that good stuff before we get into the resume.
Yeah, man, lots of good stuff. Like I said, this is the time of the year for me. I love the in-season, but I'm an off-season guy. So right now you can find me on Twitter at the FF_educator, and, Devi, Dynasty, NFL Draft. That's really my game. I got the NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network. I got a show on that, as well as the Rookie Big Board Podcast. So if you're trying to talk Rookies 365, Rookie Big Board Podcast, just launched that about a month ago, and that's been really successful. And then if you're trying to really get all in on the rookie game and get some, of my inside information, it's patreon.com/the FF Educator. And that's where I put, all my scouting notes on all the guys we're going to talk about. And I got 169 guys on the big board right now, guys. I think I'm too far in, but it's fun.
Nice.
There's no such thing as too far in. Side note, 169. Hey, what's your favorite number?
Come on, man. It's 69. Come
All
on,
right,
bro.
I'm sorry. I know that has nothing to do with anything. Thought I'd throw that out there. So since we did he gave his info out, you might as well just jump the gun and do this right here. Hey, Vic, tell the good people where they can follow you at, man. Give all your handles out.
Hey, first I got to big my guy Matt up, man. He left off, the draft Bible can be found on Sports Illustrated, so he's doing big things, man. Hey, if you're not going to big yourself up, we got you, bro. Don't even worry about it, man.
It's still new, man. It's still new.
Humble brag. I like
humble
that.
brag, man. We got you on the brag. Don't worry about it. Shout out to our bro Matt, but you guys can follow me at Chief Sosa FF, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. If you guys want that Call of Duty Warzone or Madden matchup, whatever. Possibly NCAA, right? That's coming back next year.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Another side note. I'm sorry. I'm side noting it a lot already. Vic, how much PlayStation 4 and 5 have you played this year? I seen y'all dropping that in the chat early. Go ahead and tell the good people how many hours you put in.
Hey, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I wasn't at the top. But apparently I put in a little over 2,000 hours.
In 2020.
That's like 5.5 hours a day. Let's blame it on the quarantine, bro. Pandemic.
Hey, I put in. Yeah,
you might want to revise that, man. Nobody from work watched this, right? Because
oh man, hey, it's what it is.
The way the numbers equal out.
If it means anything, nice I put over a little bit over 400, bro. So if it means anything,
hey, yeah, man. Let's keep it moving, man. Hey, but what can we follow you at, bro?
You can follow me at DJ Avo Love on the gram or at Avo Love on the gram. That's LXVE. You see it right here. You can read it. I believe in you. And on Twitter, you can follow me at Dynasty Bro Avo. Let's go.
And follow me at Dynasty Bro Dot on Instagram and Twitter, and follow the main Instagram page, Dynasty Bros FF, and follow my new side page at My Leg Might Be Broke. I'm going to med check after this episode on Twitter. But nah, we can get past that. All right, so look, Matt, this is how we do the resumes. I'm going to ask you about your real life football experience, whether you played in middle school and stopped, made it up to college, whatever you did in real life football. Then we're going to see how that translates over to fantasy. See how long you played, how many championships you done won, how many leagues you're in. You know, just because that's the main thing. But we do love real football. We all have some kind of background in it because it's football. So, Matt, real life football. You ever indulge in it?
Yeah, man. I played in high school a little bit. I wasn't at my peak athletic performance in high school. Let's put it that way. I peaked after high school, so I was kind of that chunky lineman that they moved all around. You know, they let me play some defense, they let me play some offense, but I didn't play too long. I gave it up because I was a baseball player in high school, so I kind of gave it up. But you know, it was a fun game, but I made my choice. I was a baseball player first, but you know what? Fantasy baseball, guys, that's not fun. That's not a fun game to play.
Lord,
and I tried. It's not fun. So when it comes to content creation, man, it's all about football, and it's a lot more fun of a game. I say baseball for me was more fun to play, but I'll watch football over baseball any day if it's on TV. So that's the avenue I had to navigate.
Okay,
quick question. Hey, what's what position you play? Baseball.
Oh, I was a catcher, man. That's what I'm 28. I don't have knees. All right, man. They're already gone because I was behind the plate, man.
Them knee savers didn't save nothing.
They didn't help me out, but I'll tell you what, man. There's nothing better than throwing out someone trying to steal second base. So I loved it.
There you go.
Look at the big smile on Avo's face to talk about baseball every once in a while. He's so happy about it.
I love catchers, man. I was a pitcher. What you want me to say? So, hey, I like catchers. That's all I can say. I like
you gotta call the game, man.
Too.
Yeah,
that's funny. All right, so real life football. You told us what you did in high school. Fantasy. I'm excited to hear your fantasy resume with everything you be having going on. So, when did you get into fantasy? Do you remember the year you started your first league?
Man, it would have been back middle school probably. So, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, but I was just playing casual for a while. You know what I mean? I had like the one home league, and it was nothing kind of crazy, but I finished up grad school about 4 years ago, and that's when I started to like really dive in and get hardcore, and you know, just kind of picked up momentum here over the years with writing for one site and then kind of taking off. And you know, on Twitter you can get steamrolling and just making connections. So it's probably about 4 years of content creation in different forms. And you know, now I'm at the point where when I first jumped into this thing, I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to handle 3 leagues? And now I'm in like 30, right? So, you know, you're way too far in at this point in time. But yeah, you know, I usually bring home a title or 2 a year, but I don't know, is that good when you're playing in 15 leagues? You know, we'll let the bank account decide.
Hey, me and Vic live by bringing one home, though, man. Like now that we're in the space where we like to educate people on it and we play in it, we like to bring one home because honestly, man, it takes luck. You can win all you want to in the regular season. You need luck for 3 or 4 weeks, man, on your side, no matter what. I don't care what your team look like. You need some luck on your side.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of good teams I had this year that just dropped off in the playoffs. I think I made the playoffs in 90% of my leagues and brought home like 1 or 2 titles. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of wild, that stretch at the end this year, especially.
Yeah.
All right, that's fire, man. That's fire. So you said about 30 leagues. That's a lot. Vic, you know how many leagues you in? Are you up there yet?
I'm in 26, and yeah, my limit is actually 20. So this year with the pandemic, it actually taught me my limit. So I'm actually waiting for a couple leagues to crash and burn. Not gonna lie to you, but I'm not gonna be the guy that leaves. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I could probably comfortably do 30. I'm in about 18. I could comfortably do 30 if they were all sleeper. I think I talked to Vic about that. The leagues that I really struggle in is when I got to cross over to NFL, and now I feel like I'm in a whole nother space than all these leagues I was just in sleeper. If I was just a one app guy, I could probably manage a whole lot better.
So who's running this team in UDPL? Is this a team effort in the Dynasty Podcast League that we're sharing?
Yeah, we double up, man.
Yeah. That's
right,
me and
I
Buck.
like that.
Yeah. So for you guys who don't know, Matt is one of our league mates. How'd you do, Matt? Because I'm actually in too many leagues to remember, man. I know we didn't make the playoffs.
I just had to check. I'm like looking back here because I was like, I think that's the name of the league we're in. So I finished in third in the regular season, and then I get wiped in the first round of the playoffs.
Sheesh.
I get my bye. And then in the first round of the playoffs, my team was like, "Nah, we're good. We're just gonna cash out." So.
Man, all good.
That sucks, man. That sucks.
It's fun though. Shout out to the UDPL 2 League 2.0. Definitely a lot of great fantasy minds in there. So yeah, shout out to all the league mates.
Me and Vic, we not getting no more leagues together. I feel like I gotta ask this all the time.
I'm good, bro. I don't like co-gymming with you, man. It's just it's a lot of work, man. But we did talk about doing a big pot league, so I'm still open to that. But
okay, side note. Can I say one more side note? And I'm done with the rest of the episode. Hey, Matt, we're in a league together where I'm the co-GM in Sleeper. This guy gets all the notifications. I don't get it. So really, we don't have to co-GM nothing. He runs everything besides me every day trying to trade our team away. That's all I ever try to do. But I always call him when I finally do see something. He just be reject. I don't see it until I go back and check the app. I'm like, man, we could have talked about that Josh Allen trade. So I barely get to co-GM, to be honest. Vic just running it. that is back up. He called me and be like, you cool with the roster I said? I'll be like, yeah.
I guess.
Either I can say, yeah, we can argue for 37 minutes. Just say yeah. So
damn, bro.
I tried 1 year to co-host with, or to co-own with, co-manage with my co-host, and we tried it once, and we were like, never again. We couldn't decide on anything. We're fighting with each other in the startup draft. I said, you know what? No, thank you.
Come on, bro. Hey, let's take these grievances offline, man.
My bad, bro. We're getting too far. Okay, so look, what we're gonna do is right before we get to the main topic, we like to get into, the what's the word. That's the Hood TMZ with Vic. We like to get into injuries when it's regular season. We do B-Team Player of the Weeks when it's regular season. But right now, the only thing consistent is what's the word, and that's Hood TMZ with Dynasty Bro Vic.
Wait. I got a score update. Kansas City has kicked the field goal, so it's 7-3, and they're currently in the red zone. Just letting you know.
What quarter?
Just keeping you updated, man. First quarter. Cool. Right. Second quarter. My bad. Second quarter.
He always wrong with numbers. All right, Vic, you ready, man?
Yeah, man. Let's dive into it. So, of course, this is where I just like to call out what's been happening. We're gonna be in and out with this. So, yeah, feel free to chime in on anything that interests you. So, since we got some baseball guys on, let's start with some baseball news. So, shout out to Bleach Report. If you guys didn't see this, Ken Griffey Jr. He's going to serve as the senior advisor to the MLB commissioner. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
I like it, man.
Have you heard about that?
Back for that. Oh, yeah.
For the kid, respectfully.
As soon as you sent it to me for the kid, he gonna really be over the youth. So it's real. That's dope. I'm hype about that.
That's cool. I'm sure he has some ideas as it relates to development of the youth as it relates to baseball. So hopefully he pushes amongst the black community as far as with getting more black athletes in baseball too. So outside of the Cuba and South America,
Dominicans,
Dominicans,
they deep,
in baseball. So yeah, man, shout out to Ken Griffey Jr. Should be a cool role for him, cool venture. All right, let's keep it pushing. Shout out to Bleacher Report. So there's a bettor out there. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but it's a bettor out there that put $2.3 million on the Bucks. So if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl, he's going to win $2 million. How do you guys feel about that amount of a bet?
It's not worth it, man.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Let me ask you guys that in your opinion. Who you got?
I don't want to answer first.
All right, I'm going to ask Matt. Matt, who you got?
Matt on the spot.
I don't got anybody that I'm willing to put $2 million on, that's for sure.
Hey,
man.
I think it's got to be the Chiefs, right? I don't know. Man. It's hard. I'm outside of Baltimore, so I still got my heart crushed a little bit. Ravens didn't quite get it done this year, so I'm a little salty at the AFC still, but I gotta think the Chiefs are gonna win it.
Man, I give the edge on paper to Tampa Bay because they got the defense, but I mean, you can't go up against that Kansas City offense. So I'm rolling with the Chiefs as well. I'm actually going to put 2,300 on the Super Bowl. I believe that's $200.30 if my math is right.
Bruh,
2.3.
bruh. I don't want to put $100 down for the chance to win 200. It don't seem worth it. I'm telling you, man. Like, so he putting down 2. He going to lose 2 or win 4. Is that
But
it?
they got
No.
he got it. Nah, that's not how it worked though.
His profit would be $2 million at the end of the day. Of course, he has to put down 2. I'm sure they
Yeah,
pull out of his account.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
then they put the 4 back in his account. At the end of the day, profit would be 2.
That don't seem worth it, bro. For the chance to win 2, you're gonna lose 2. I don't know, man.
Hey,
but if you got it,
why not?
Why not?
I can tell you what I did bet on.
What?
I bet on Rob Gronkowski to score first and the Bucks win $25. It'll win me $1,300. Now
That's a nice bet.
I don't believe either one of them, but I just play something with some high odds, just trying to win, man. So
that ain't bad. That's cool.
Wish you luck.
Hey, I wish you all the luck, bro. All right, let's keep it pushing. Shout out to Bleacher Report Gridiron. So I'm sure. Well, if you guys did see the inauguration, Amanda Gorman, she's a poet. She actually read a poem before the inauguration, and she's actually going to read it before the Super Bowl. So just want to acknowledge that, just given she had a great moment there. So it's going to carry over to the Super Bowl.
That's fine. Shout out to her.
Yeah. All right, and the last bit of news for What's the Word this week. I first saw this on SportsCenter, but a lot of news outlets broke this story. But there's going to be a return with NCAA football, so it's going to return to the next gen console. So if you got you the PS5, the new Xbox, I don't even know what it is. I'm a PlayStation guy, but yeah, look out for NCAA. So it's making its first return since NCAA 14.
I'm excited for it, and I don't even got a PS5.
Well, I'm kind of mad now because I ain't got a PS5. So
Matt,
that's not cool.
Matt, are you a gamer?
Oh yeah, man, I'm hype. This is the game. So y'all will think I'm ridiculous, especially because I we just mentioned that not everyone's got a PS5 in the room, but I got my PS5, and at the same time, I got myself a PS3 because I found an old copy of NCAA 13, and at one point I was playing the PS3 instead of the PS5 when I had just gotten it because I was into that Dynasty mode, guys. There's no better game, in my opinion, at least in the sports world, than NCAA football, man. It's so fun. I was losing my mind when I saw that on Twitter today. I've been like dreaming of this for a couple of years, and it's finally coming through.
Nice, man. And I know the community out there that does play NCAA. I even saw guys getting pissed when the servers went down, for NCAA. So yeah, hopefully we can get some leagues going, man. Hey, I don't mind jumping on there, getting a team. I do want to say this. I hope the developers, and again, I know it's all EA, but I'm not really a fan of Madden right now. So I'm hoping to have a new team that comes in and make the game right. That's been one of the reasons why I've held back on getting a PS5. I mean, I'm not in love with the game Madden right now just because it, from a gameplay standpoint, it's not been the best. Granted, they got to focus on next gen, so I get that part. But man, hopefully, there's a whole new team on there for NCAA.
Yeah, I don't want one person that has even interacted with somebody who built Madden right now to even be in the same room as somebody who's building NCAA, man. I don't even want it to be similar.
Man. Yep. All right. That's all I got for What's the Word. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nah, man. I'm actually good. I done did too many side notes today, so I'm gonna just fall back a little bit.
Update. Kansas City is winning 10-7. Still second quarter.
Hey, did Gronk score that first touchdown, or do you know?
I did not see, man. My bad.
Just
at the end, I'm sure we can look over the stats. We see how everybody played, give you an idea.
Bet. Appreciate that. All right, so look, what we're going to do is we're going to get straight into these NFL draft prospects, man. Like Matt said, it is draft season. My favorite time, leagues. Everybody think that the leagues is over. Ask us, what are we talking about? It never dies when you do Dynasty, man. So we get rolling, get straight into the offseason. So I'm excited about that. We're going to talk about some of these guys. We're going to try our best to discuss the non-obvious guys. So Like I said, we brought a professional on. Guy that digs in his bag. He said he's 169 players deep into talking about it. So I'm excited to hear everything you got to say about these prospects while making up my own judgment of these guys. So if everybody's ready for that, man, we can get into it. Y'all down?
Yeah, we're down, man. And just to add to that, so of course, when we do hit on the fantasy aspect, we're looking at it from a super flex, full, PPR. So just keep that in mind when we do go through this. But yeah, I'm excited to hear Matt's opinion and also hear your opinion too, Dot, on some of these guys. So let's start with the QBs. Of course, look, we already know Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first guy taken in the draft and first guy taken in these rookie drafts. So we don't need to spend too much time there. But question I have for you, Matt, let's start with the NFL side. In your opinion, who's going to be the second QB off the board?
Yeah, for NFL purposes, it's close. There's a lot of chatter towards Zach Wilson, and I know there's kind of the fit is a little bit better with the coaching staff. If I had to put money down right now, I'd still be putting money down on Justin Fields. I think that the NFL appreciates, what he brings to the table in terms of his mechanics, in terms of his upside. He's not a finished product, but you know what? Zach Wilson isn't as much of a finished product as we make him out to be too. So I think it's really going to come down to which one of those guys clicks best, with the Jets when they're going through that. I do think it's going to be the Jets taking a QB right there, but if I was a GM, I'd be taking Justin Fields, but I'll tell you, from just the NFL chatter, it sounds like it might be Zach Wilson. I'd be surprised if it wasn't one of those two guys.
Okay, let's start with Justin Fields there. I'll be honest, I have some concerns only with Ohio State has a track record of their QB's not panning out in the league. So, we just saw Dwayne Haskins fizzle out. Do you have any concerns there with Justin Fields?
Yeah, that's kind of that's a consistent narrative that Fields has kind of been fighting. The one thing that I like to point out, whenever we talk about Fields compared to other Ohio State quarterbacks, is they've never had anybody really above a 3-star guy. I think Dwayne Haskins was a low 4. Justin Fields, man, he was the second overall player in his class, second only to Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, man. So in 90% of recruiting classes, Justin Fields is going to be the best guy in the class. So he's on the next level in terms of his caliber of what he can be, right? I did not like Haskins coming out. I gave him a low grade at the time. That was unpopular. But Haskins, man, he lost it 40 yards down the field. It was he couldn't hit anybody. And you could tell his mechanics were slow. Justin Fields, man, his mechanical foundation is so tight. He's got a really good throwing motion. He's got good footwork. For Fields, it's the mental side of the game. He's got to figure out the decision making. He's got to read the field a little bit better. He's got to be a little bit more consistent. But he has all the tools, man. And when you got the tools, that's what you got to bet on when it comes to the NFL, because no quarterback is a safe bet. It's the hardest position to scout, and you want to look for somebody that can grow into the position. So that's why, for me, Fields is still my QB2. And, you look back at some of the previous quarterbacks from Ohio State, whether it's Dwayne Haskins, Cardale Jones, these were guys that, they were good college quarterbacks, but you could kind of see the limitations ahead of time coming out. For Fields, I think he's not half the football player that he will be. I think he's got so much room to grow into his foundation right now.
Okay. Yeah, based on what you're saying, it sounds like he has the potential to take that Dak Prescott type leap. Especially, we already seen the toughness and leadership skills, so that's already there. So it's just a matter of bringing all the mechanics together. Yeah,
and the mobility is off the charts. People like to talk up Zach Wilson a little bit in terms of his mobility. He's fine. He can kind of move. But Justin Fields, he knows how to run a designed run play. He knows how to read the option. He knows how to really kind of, like you said, be in command of that offense and have that decision making. So I still think he has a high mental IQ when it comes to his football IQ, but sometimes it doesn't show up in terms of throwing the ball over the middle of the field, double coverage, stuff like that. But he reads plays well, and he's really at the command of that Ohio State offense.
Yeah. Any thoughts there, Doc? Comments?
Hey, man, echo. I feel like we've talked about Justin before, man. He's great. He's just, there's a guy named Trevor Lawrence is right there that's just overshadowing him. And I get it, because Trevor's been doing his thing since he stepped on the field at Clemson, but I feel like we just don't give Justin enough love because we're all just googly out over Trevor. And that's everywhere. That's in the fantasy community. That's in the real NFL community. It's Trevor or nothing is what it be feeling like. Because I've been saying all season, I'm not tanking to try to go get Trevor from the Jaguars, because I would be just as happy getting Justin Fields if I ended up with the number 2 overall pick. So I don't know. I like Justin though.
And Fields had a tough go of it. Like, you think about Lawrence, right? He lands at Clemson. It's a good fit. He starts 4 games in, and he's been in that same offense developing ever since. Fields, he ends up at Georgia. It's a bad spot. Kirby Smart doesn't know how to use him. So he goes to Ohio State. He has, he transfers and picks up the offense, starts year 1, which is going to be difficult. And now he's got to work through a pandemic year where Ohio State's not playing, and then they are playing, and then they're not playing. So, I don't knock the guy for only having I believe it's 16 career starts in college or something like that. And I don't knock him for needing to develop more. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be worried if Trevor Lawrence wasn't, a good prospect at this point in time. But I feel like we're just skipping over the fact that Fields has battled through a lot of adversity to even get the tape on the field and still get Ohio State to the semis, right?
True that. That.
All right. Let's talk about Zach Wilson. I know for a lot of people, this part of the name they didn't even, never heard of until this year. So he's a guy that definitely, I don't want to say he busted out on the scene, but he definitely made a name for himself. So can you talk us through some Zach Wilson?
No, man, you're right. And that's the thing that nobody talks about. Zach Wilson came out of nowhere. Like, if you look at his 2019 numbers, they're bad. Like, I think his touchdown to interception ratio last year was 11-9. He threw for an extra 1,000 yards this year, despite only throwing it 25 more times. So he really did kind of shoot out of nowhere. He's a really fun player to watch. I think he's somebody who 10 years ago we would have ignored, but just the way the NFL is working right now, we're getting really excited about him. He's really creative with his arm angles, so he doesn't have traditional quarterback mechanics. He can move outside the pocket, and he throws on the run really well, which we get excited about. But kind of the way that Lamar finds those improvised arm angles, Kyler a little bit being a former baseball player, he's kind of got those improvised, that 3/4 approach that would get me in trouble when I was playing on the diamond. You could get away with it, right? Playing quarterback now with Zach Wilson. So his mechanics are a little inconsistent, but he's kind of doing his own thing with that. But he's a gunslinger, man, and the NFL loves gunslingers, for better or for worse. He's fearless when he's throwing the ball. He'll throw an interception, will get right back up there next time and be just as bold. And more times than not, he places the ball in a good spot. He sets his receivers up, and that's why he kind of had this exciting rise. Now, he's got some mobility, but I keep cautioning people, don't think he's Dak Prescott running the ball. Don't think he's Josh Allen running the ball. He's really more like Baker Mayfield. He can move the pocket. He could get you 10 yards if it breaks down. So he's not a statue by any means, but you shouldn't be banking on him for fantasy football to score you, 6-10 touchdowns like we get out of a guy like Prescott or like Allen.
Yeah. He sounds like a perfect fit for the Jets, but I have to be honest. We watched the Jets, draft a Geno Smith, go the more athletic route. That didn't work out. They have a guy there now, Sam Darnold. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's just a victim of his situation. So is there a chance that they stick with Sam Darnold and pass on both these guys, or do you envision the Jets drafting a QB?
I love Darnold. I don't think he's a bust. He was my highest graded quarterback in that class. I think he's had nothing to work with there in New York, like you said. So I like him. I just think usually, just predicting what the NFL does when a new coaching staff comes in, they tend to want to get their guy, right? So I think they probably do move on from Sam just from an NFL standpoint. But I think, he's probably better off, man, landing somewhere else and hopefully fighting for a job and getting it. And, the Jets probably go with one of these guys. But in terms of potential, I think Sam Darnold has just as good of a potential at least as Zach Wilson, if not Justin Fields. I'd probably rather have Justin Fields if I was an NFL GM, but, I think they're in a similar ballpark.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Dot, on Zach?
I ain't gonna lie, man. I've been kind of biased because I already felt some type of way about the world not loving Justin as much as Trevor. And I'd be damned if I fall in love with a third guy over Justin too. I don't know. So I think he's an okay prospect, but I've always had these two guys. It's been these two guys and then a tier of guys. Even if you want to put Trevor by himself, then it's Justin, and then it's the rest of these guys. I'm not falling in love with the prospects of him. I'm not falling in love with anything Mac Jones did in that Alabama offense. It's Trevor, Justin. And That's what I'm riding with.
Yeah. All right. Let's flip to the dynasty side aspect of all this with the QBs. I want to talk about the stuff nobody really talks about. Like, of course, we all expect these guys to be great, but let's be honest, these QBs can bust. And we're talking about Justin and Zach. I think Trevor's fine, but he still has to go out there and perform. I mean, look at what we're dealing with Tua. A lot of people are already having question marks there. I'm still a believer, but let's just be honest. These guys can miss. So I'm on the end of or the side of if I can't draft Trevor, I'm looking at like a Najee Harris. I'd rather wait and get like a Mac Jones, later in the first, or if he falls to me early in the second. I mean, to me, there's just a lot of risk, in my opinion, drafting a Zach Wilson or a Justin Fields if they don't work out when you could have had a player like Najee or Jamar Chase. So what are your thoughts or comments on that? That's just a question to everybody.
Yeah. Quarterbacks, you're absolutely right, man. They have way lower hit rates just in general in the NFL. It's hard to scout the quarterback position, and I think there's a variety of reasons for that, but one of the ones that nobody ever talks about is how willing is the coaching staff or the franchise willing to really invest in that guy. Like, you look at Josh Allen, I liked him coming out, but if Buffalo didn't intentionally build up that team around Josh Allen, and they gave him a lot of time. Remember, Josh Allen looked terrible in his first year. He ends up sitting behind when he gets injured, and then he comes back. He's got the whole offseason training, and they put some weapons around him that specifically fit his play style too, right? It wasn't for Josh Allen. It wasn't just about getting a bunch of all-stars. Of course, Diggs helped, but like bringing in John Brown to fit his skill set, drafting Gabriel Davis to fit his, and even Cole Beasley, like he needed that guy underneath. And the same thing with the Ravens. The Ravens flipped over their entire offensive scheme to make it work with Lamar. So one of the reasons that quarterbacks miss so much is teams will draft them and then they'll just toss them to the side. Like look at Josh Rosen. I mean, I didn't think he was ever going to be the dude, but Josh Rosen, man, he hasn't even gotten a shot in the league really. So it is tough, and guys miss. Now, if you draft Najee Harris in the teens, which is where I think he's going to go in the first round, he's your guy, right? You're going to give him 200, 250 touches because you just invested high in a running back. So, I mean, you're right. There's a little bit more of a floor there with the running backs as long as teams invest in them high. Like, round 4, round 5 of the NFL draft, teams will just draft running backs and never use them, on day 3. But if you got that day 1 or day 2 draft capital, those first 3 rounds, as a running back, you're probably getting used, and you're getting used early and often because they want that free contract, right? Like you're cheap on the rookie deal, and then as a running back, you'll be lucky if you make that second deal. But they're going to pay off a lot quicker for sure.
But I get the, taking the quarterback before those guys in Superflex leagues, man, because once a quarterback hits a peak, dude, it's hard to get those guys in trade value, man. It's like it's too much to ask for. Like right now, trying to go get Justin Herbert right now, it's too much to ask for compared to where did he go in all these drafts compared to all these top running backs. And in Superflex league, I don't care if you have Taylor, Herbert still is priced higher than Taylor, and Taylor was going before Herbert. So the thought process of hitting on one of these quarterbacks that went early in the first round in the Superflex league, that just the thought of having that guy on your team, that's why you jump out the window and go get these guys sometime, honestly. I get it, though. Najee's going to be a dog, but if you ask me in a year, if they both hit, Justin's going to be worth way more than Najee going into next year. So,
yeah. So I will say this: I'm definitely going to pay attention to how these organizations, handle these QBs and what coaches they bring in, and if I hear system changes, because really, the smart organizations, they tailor the offensive scheme to the QB strengths coming from college. So when you hear talks like that, I'm more comfortable with stuff like that. But like you said, if you got a guy coming in and they're just throwing him to the fire and they're going to run the Bengals offense or just run the Browns offense, if you're not tailoring it to highlight your guy's skill sets, his strengths, then yeah, you're not setting them up for success. So, all right, let's pivot to these running backs. So of course, we already know the big names, Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. Before we talk about some of these other guys, so Matt, I just got to ask you, who should be the first running back taken, in your opinion, in Superflex?
In a Superflex league, I got Harris. I got Najee is my top guy, man. He's fourth. Even in a Superflex league, he's fourth overall on the big board. So I'm all in on him. And the one thing everybody knows, he's a powerful dude. He's been absolutely tearing up the SEC. And I like to say, man, if you could be SEC linebackers, that's the closest thing you're getting to playing on Sundays, on Saturdays, right? Like, those are big boys, and he absolutely makes them look small. But the thing that nobody talks about with Najee Harris, he's the best receiver in this draft class in terms of the running backs. His hands are so good, man. And he's 230, but they line him up out wide, or if he runs a wheel route, or if he breaks the angle, he looks like, a wide receiver catching the ball, man. He is so comfortable going out there catching that ball. So I've been hyping him up in terms of being that PPR back. Like, nobody wants to think of him because he's 230 pounds, but he's just as good catching the ball as he is running it. So it's Najee Harris for me easily. And I like Etienne, but it's a pretty big gap.
Okay. Anything you can highlight with Etienne in general?
Yeah, my one like rant right now about Etienne is like I feel like a year ago everybody thought he was like the best thing ever, right? And he's really good. He's got that like home run playability. He's really quick. His acceleration, like if he beats that DB, I don't care how good your angle is, you're not catching up to him, all right? Like, he is gone. But it seems like right now everyone's just, like, bored of him. Like I don't know. For some reason, I'm hearing, like, Javonte Williams is over him, or I've seen some people put him as, like, the running back 4 even. And I think we're just, like, bored. We do this every year to a prospect. We just get bored of how good they are. At the end, he's still the running back 2. Like, don't overthink it. He's going to be able to take on a high volume, and obviously, everybody is landing spot dependent, but if he lands in like a high-flying offense, like if he lands in Arizona, it's going to be so good, like his value. So he's a little bit more landing spot dependent. I don't care where Najee Harris goes. I think he's going to be good no matter what. I think Etienne's a little bit more landing spot dependent, but after Harris and Etienne, I think you're just taking swings at the running back position this year. It's nowhere near as deep as last year.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. My lesson learned coming off this season, I'm trusting the talent. Like, I don't even care about the landing spot anymore. I fell into the Clyde Edwards-Helaire trap. Don't get me wrong, I still think he's going to be fine, but for me, I just see his ceiling as being an RB2, a mid RB2 at that, in that Kansas City offense. So I'm trusting the talent. So with that being said, who's next up for you at the running back position, a guy you want to put on our radar?
Yeah, so I like to put a little disclaimer out here and say that I'm kind of on an island with this take. Not a lot of people have this guy as their running back 3, so I don't know. Maybe in 6 months I'll look really smart. Maybe I'll look really dumb. I don't know. But that's all part of the process, right? So,
yep.
But I love Javian Hawkins out of Louisville, man. He is such a fun player to watch. He's super underrated. He's 5'9", 196. And I like to point that out because there's this narrative for Hawkins that he's not big. Because he came into college, when he came into Louisville, he was a $155. That's how much he weighed. He was small, and he's put on about 40 pounds of weight over the last couple of years. And I mean, if you look at a picture of this guy, it's muscle weight, man. He's yoked up. So, but when he's running on the field, man, I see all the upside in the world. And like I said, with the running back position this year, after 1 and 2, you're just swinging for the fences. So you might as well swing big. And for me with Hawkins, he's explosive. He's super athletic. He's got really sharp change of direction, and he's got really good field vision. Now, like the one knock that a lot of folks, especially if you're just looking at numbers that you're going to have, he doesn't have much in terms of receptions and his stat line. But the Louisville offense, man, it was a really weird offense. It was very run heavy. They barely ever threw the ball. And when they did, they have 2 really good wide receivers going to the draft this year in Des Fitzpatrick and Tutu Atwell. So he doesn't have the numbers in the receiving department, but his hands are fine. Like when he's targeted, he catches the ball. And even off-target passes, he's able to bring them in. So he's my running back 3. Honestly, for most folks I'm seeing out there, he's the 6 or the 7, but I'm high on him right now, and I'm going to let the NFL tell me I'm wrong, right? If he goes like day 3, I'll drop him down the board, but I think he could go maybe round 3, round 2 of the NFL draft right now.
Yeah, based on everything you said, just off his profile, I put him at a day 3, round 4, could sneak into day 2, round 3. That's just what I'm hearing, but I definitely need to, go back and do some more homework. But yeah, I mean, I definitely like what I heard. Dot, what are your thoughts on Javion?
Look, my bad. I had to readjust. I like him, man. It's just all about. My bad. I had to do that one more time.
You good, bro?
I like his speed. I like the way he looks on the field, man. Sometimes you just gotta watch a guy, man, just look like he got it. he does look like he has it, man. But I do like a couple guys better than him. So I'm not knocking him. There's a couple guys that I just see and maybe they just look more exciting watching him play. But I can still tell he has a real good skill set, man, to be productive. But I still think somebody's going to have to want him and actually be able to play with his skill set, not just land anywhere. But every running back just can't land everywhere and just be able to be plug and play no matter what team. So.
Yeah. So for Javion, do you envision him in these rookie drafts being a round 3 type guy in these rookie drafts or into the second round, mid-second round? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so let me pull it up, actually. So NFL Draft Bible is accumulating rookie ADP, and I will put a Sports Illustrated plug in here this time for you. But
there you go.
if you go to si.com /NFL/draft, we actually have consistently updated Dynasty Fantasy Football rookie ADP. It's free. It's not behind a paywall, so anybody can check that out. And in our initial one quarterback ADP, Hawkins has a 207. So he's round 2, pick 7 right now in ADP. So there's plenty of running backs going above him, like Javonte Williams, Kenneth Gainwell, are both guys going above him. So, he's kind of got to be that like mid-round second guy. But in some leagues, he might even fall to round 3. So you might be able to get him pretty cheap. You don't got to pay up in the same way that you have to pay up for like Javonte Williams.
Gotcha. And how is that ADP put together? Is that like SI guys or?
Yeah, so we have guys, industry analysts, some guys writing for sites covering Dynasty and Devi a little bit more sharply from around the industry. So we got a pool of about 30 analysts, and then, for each one of those, we pick out 12 and have them do a mock draft.
There you go. Okay. All right, and we got one more running back you want to put on our radar. I'm going to let you talk him up, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just pull up. I'm going right back to my big board. I'm pulling all these notes from my big board, so that's how I keep myself organized. All right, that's right.
You already did the homework. Makes sense.
Exactly, man. Hey, when you're watching this much stuff, it's all about the notes. One guy that's gaining a lot of hype, and I kind of want to talk him up because I think it's for good reason, is Michael Carter. He's the running back out of North Carolina. For some folks, he's the other running back out of North Carolina because everyone's hyping up Javonte Williams. And I think Williams is a really good back in his own way. In Carter, I want to set expectations here. I don't know if he'll ever be a bell cow guy, but he is gaining a lot of momentum right now. He had a really good Senior Bowl week, which is kind of like, for folks not familiar, it's a showcase game for seniors, and it can really be a launching point for NFL draft stock. And from a lot of analysts that were down there on the beat, Carter was the best back there in terms of helping his draft stock. So I think he's a day 2 guy now. He might be taking in more of that satellite type back role. He's 5'7", 202. That 5'7" makes people nervous, but he plays big, and he uses his height well. He's got a really low center of gravity that helps him have really good contact balance, and he's got really sharp agility. He's not somebody when you watch tape, like if you watch highlights on Michael Carter, you're not going to necessarily be blown away, but if you watch him consistently, his vision and agility is so good that half the time, even when defenders are around him, they don't even get a hand on him. He actually outproduced Javonte Williams this past year. He had 100 more rushing yards than Javonte Williams this past season. And so I think he's just an under-the-radar guy, and I think he might end up going in like the 3rd or 4th round of your rookie drafts, but he's got good hands. He could be a PPR upside guy. He's probably going to start his career in a committee situation. Like, he's not going to be drafted to be the guy. But you guys know how that works with running backs. Once one guy goes down on your team and another guy, once you get your shot, I mean, like, look at Chris Carson, Phillip Lindsay, James Robinson, these UDFA day 3 guys that turn into something because they get a shot. And so, Michael Carter, he might not smash year 1, but I'd be surprised if 3 years from today we weren't saying he was fantasy relevant at least for a stretch of time.
Yeah.
That's true. Like you said, that 5'7" seems like a concern, but that 202 just shows that he does have at least the build to be able to hold up, man. And that's always important, too. I try not to pay attention to just height with anything. You got to see how a person is built. And to watch how a person runs and carry themselves while they're on the field, man, he looks like he's built to actually have a workload. So, like you said, I think because of his size, he will be committee to start. But, man, the NFL is kind of built on committees now, man. It's very few teams that allow you to be just a workhorse by yourself, man, honestly. So it can work out in his favor. And like you said, next man up could give a guy number one running back role sooner than later. So I like it.
Yeah, and I definitely like some Michael Carter. I mean, like you said, he's shifty, he's agile, the vision's there, and he's a guy that gets upfield. So he's not one of those guys that's running sideways. You know what I mean? He's getting vertical, so you definitely love to see that with any ball carrier. All right, let's go ahead and pivot to these wide receivers. So, of course, before we get into the guys you want to put on our radar, look, we already know the big two, the big names, Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase. So I got to ask you, Matt, put you on the spot. Who should be the first wide receiver taken in these super flex, rookie drafts?
Yeah, in terms of fantasy football, for me, it's still Jamar Chase, man. I love Jamar Chase. There's not anything he doesn't do well. I think he's a really sharp route runner. He's super athletic. He's got super good hands. And he breaks a hard slant. I tell everybody, there's a couple things in watching prospects that gets me to fall in love with you. If you're a wide receiver that could break a good slant, man, it's hard to guard you in the NFL. It just is. I mean, look at A.J. Brown. Look at Odell Beckham Jr. These guys that can break slants, it's so tough for defensive backs to jam them and really play them the way the NFL game is going right now. And Jamar Chase can absolutely break that. And some of the best hands that I've graded out since I've been using my current grading system, so about 3 years, and he separates really well. That's one thing you can't undervalue when it comes to a wide receiver. So I love Jamar Chase, and he's definitely still the top guy off the board for me, even though I think some folks are forgetting about him because he hasn't played in a year. He opted out, but I don't think the NFL is going to forget about him.
Yeah, one thing I love about Chase is his release, man, off the line. So, yeah, you can barely touch him. So he has – I'm not saying it's like Devontae Adams, but hey, if you're a receiver and you're getting free releases, it's game over at that point. So that's one of his strengths.
And he's lining up against SEC DBs, man. So in the SEC, they will jam you. They'll play press on you, and they're some of the most athletic guys. So if you're beating them, you got the best shot to translate.
Yeah.
And he's already built. He's already built. He got good size for a receiver. So, you don't have to worry about that like you do with some other guys. And
he plays even bigger than he is. You're right. He's got good size to him, but you'd swear he was 6'3", 6'4" the way he plays. He's 6'1", 200, but he carries that weight really well. You're right. It's not always just about, what your weight is. It's the way you carry it on your body.
Yeah.
All right. We'll touch on Devontae very quickly. So, of course, the Heisman Trophy winner absolutely balled out. Now, of course, we're looking forward to the NFL, and a lot of people have concerns about his size. I mean, in my opinion, if you're a baller, you're a baller. I mean, he's going to get to the league, put on the healthy weight, so he'll probably put on another 10 pounds. Matt, what are your thoughts on Devontae's long-term outlook?
Yeah, I like Devonta Smith a lot. I really do. So Smith was a guy that I was originally mock drafting him in the late first round in 2020, and I was kind of convinced he was going to go to the league. A lot of folks were like, no, he's coming back to Alabama, and I was like, why? Because he's NFL ready. He was back then. He does decide to come back to Alabama, and I'm like, oh, this is why, so he can win a Heisman. And obviously Waddle going down kind of helped him, in terms of production capability. But Smith, man, he's always been really good. He's got really good body control. He wins before and after the catch. I mean, you saw the way he was just unguardable in that national championship game. But, I'm kind of honed in on the SEC, being a graduate from an SEC school, and this is par for the course what we saw in that championship game. I mean, we want to talk about release. Smith is up there with the best of them. I will say I have him ranked in fantasy football a little bit lower than most folks. I have both Jalen Waddle and Terrace Marshall ahead of Devonta Smith, so Smith is actually my 4. And so I don't know if I'm going to get him in a lot of leagues because I don't think he's going to go, 4th wide receiver off the board, which is the value I put on him. But I really like him. I think he's going to be a good NFL player. The size concerns me a little, but not enough to pivot off of him.
Dot, man, talk about your guy, man, Devontae.
I love Devonta Smith, man. He's just, like I said, sometimes you just gotta watch a guy and just watch the way he plays the game. He plays it like it just looks so easy to him. You can tell he's out there working hard, but it just looks so natural, man. Like, I loved watching Jerry Jeudy when he was at Alabama. I just be like, I don't even like he's trying, man. It just looks so smooth. It looks like he's out there just striding when he catch the ball, when he's running his routes. It just looks so effortless. But the way he's doing these DBs so bad, he's out there really trying. It just looks effortless, man. And so I love a guy that's a go-to guy. And like I said, losing a guy can produce your numbers because you need more targets probably. But he lost the guy that was supposed to take some coverage away from him. They couldn't do nothing with him, man. Just it's going to him, still can't do nothing with him. That's the kind of guy I want on my team, no matter what the size is. Just look like he goes to figure it out. So I love Devonta Smith, man. I really do.
Yeah, man.
He's gonna be a star.
I love his yak yards after the catch. I mean, this is a guy that's catching bubble routes and screens, and next thing you know, it's 60 yards to the house. I love his burst just because after he catches that ball behind the line of scrimmage, he gets, he accelerates pretty quickly, top end speed. So everything's smooth, like you said, and he's tough, man. Like he's not afraid to go over the middle. He takes on the big hits. So you got to love that in a guy that's smaller. All right. So Matt, in your opinion, who should be the third wide receiver taken? Of course, we already know the big two names. Well, most would say the big two, but of course, we just heard your opinion with Devontae being number 4. But who's another top guy in your opinion?
I love Jalen Waddle. I think he's kind of getting slept on a little bit. Now, obviously, that injury hurt him. But before that injury hit, he was my wide receiver 2, and I haven't moved him down my board at all because I do think he's going to be healthy when it comes time for the draft. If we had the combine, like we normally do, I think that's when everybody would fall in love with Jalen Waddle because he's going to be the fastest, if not one of the top 3 fastest runners at the 40 in any position. He is fast, and I know some folks knock that when a wide receiver is fast, but he is much, much more than fast. He speeds up really quick. He can start and stop, which is a really rare trait. And he has sharp, really quick footwork, super consistent hands. And his athleticism, man, he goes up and just wins a jump ball. He's 5'10", 182, but I swear you would think he was 6'3", 6'4" sometimes when he goes up and gets this ball. So, when it comes to vertical testing, he's going to be at the top as well. In the ankle injury, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It was a clean break. It wasn't a soft tissue injury. So when he's back, he should be back. And I mean, you have to love the fight in him to even get out there at the national championship game. He had no business being on that field, but he was out there and he was fighting for it. So it tells you a lot about his character too.
I think a bad rookie season from Ruggs and injury-prone season from Waddle, I don't want people to watch and get them compared to each other because Ruggs cannot do the things going after the ball that Waddle can. Waddle, he'll high point the ball. He's a dog, man. He wants the ball. He's not letting the ball come down. He actually go get that damn ball. I really like Waddle. So don't get him mistaken. And I don't think Ruggs is a horrible receiver. He just doesn't do the thing Waddles do. But just Alabama speedsters, don't get them misconstrued. They're completely different in what they do. Waddle's going to be a dog.
And a lot of people do compare those wide receivers, and I like to, exactly what you were saying, point out the fact they played in the same offense together last year. Like, they were on the field at the same time. They weren't doing the same thing. So you're absolutely right. Like, making that 1-to-1 isn't a good idea just because they're both fast Alabama guys. They play in a totally different way.
Yeah. All right, Matt. So give me one more wide receiver. I know we talked Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, also Waddle. So give me one more wide receiver.
I think we're sleeping. As I use the collective we because I'm not sleeping. Terrace Marshall out of LSU, man. Marshall, he's so smooth for me. He's my wide receiver 3, and most folks, they have him down in that wide receiver 6 or 7 territory. But this is an absolute field stretcher. Most guys lose speed as they go downfield. Marshall speeds up. He's really good with that long speed. He has great athleticism. This is a really underrated characteristic, but I think he's got some of the best body positioning at the catch point, and that's really important when it comes to the NFL. That really helps with that separation ability, and he tracks the ball really well. You go back to 2019 tape, even Joe Burrow throwing off target, Marshall's able to react to that ball in midair very well. He had horrible QB play this year at LSU, and he was able to really help out that quarterback by making that catch radius larger. It's at the top of the class. It's known for being a class that's kind of smaller. I mean, we were talking about this, right? Like a lot of guys 6 foot, 6'1" under that. Terrace Marshall is 6'3", and he's got length. So his wingspan, his catch radius makes him look like he's closer to 6'4", 6'5". So he's somebody that's really good. And I'm not comparing him 1-to-1 in terms of play style, but kind of the way that last year at the top of the second round, there was just so many good players that you could get a talented wide receiver like T. Higgins at the top of the second round. And I'm not comparing their play styles, but in terms of the value I think you're getting, you could get Terrace Marshall at the top of the second round, and I think he's going to go and absolutely smash on an NFL offense right away.
Nice.
Let me go ahead and jot that down real quick. Top of the second.
There you
All
go.
right.
Hey, before we get into these tight ends, Avo, what's the score update, if you don't mind?
Man, I'm gonna be real. It's a dope game. I'm really trying to pay attention to the podcast, but I'm literally watching Patrick Mahomes mount a comeback. So it is currently 28-20 in the third, Tampa Bay.
All right, let's see how that finishes out. All right, let's move to the tight ends. And before we get into the tight ends, I just want to throw a wide receiver out there. It'd be a nice transition, but wide receiver Kadarius Toney. So of course he had at least he was one of the bigger names coming down to the Senior Bowl. And man, when you threw on some Kyle Pitts tape, you could not help but notice Kadarius Toney while you're breaking down some of that film. So I just want to put him on the radar too. But that's probably a name, probably a day 3 guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck into the 3rd round on day 2. But I just want to put that out there. But let's move to the tight end. So, of course, we know Kyle Pitts. He's the big name. He basically was a big-ass wide receiver out there. They lined him up everywhere. He could do it all. So, yeah, we don't need to spend too much time there on his talent. But I do want to ask about these rookie drafts. How do you feel about drafting Kyle Pitts? Should he be drafted in the 1st round? Or should you be patient, let other people draft him, then you go buy low on him during the season? Because, you got to be more patient with these tight ends.
Yeah, and first off, before we talk about Pitts, I'll mention for you for Kadarius Toney, I think he's a lock day 2 guy. There's no way he goes outside of day 2, just from what I'm hearing from NFL circles. And there's even a shot. I wouldn't do this, but I think there's a shot he goes day 1. There's a lot of NFL teams that are super high on him, so I think you're right. You're right to be locked in on him. But when it comes to the tight end position, this is going to be the interesting one, right? Kyle Pitts, he's 12 right now on my rookie big board, and so I definitely think he's a 1st round guy. And I understand the demand, the want to take a tight end, but as much as Kyle Pitts is a refined route runner, he's got good hands. He has a long way to go in terms of his blocking ability if he's going to be asked to do that in the NFL. Now, if he ends up in a scheme where he's not going to be asked to block, then his development curve is a lot shorter, right? I think he contributes quicker, because that's the thing with the tight end position of fantasy football. We got to wait, and it's usually year 3. Think about it. We're getting ready for Hawk to break out. We're getting ready for Noah Fant to break out, and that's usually year 3. Do you want to wait 3 years for somebody you're taking in the 1st round? At 112, maybe, because you just won the championship, but in our rookie ADP right now, he's 107, and in one of the mock drafts, I won't say which expert, but somebody took him 101. And this isn't a non-tight end premium. So you're gonna get somebody in your league that loves Kyle Pitts, right? Just by the numbers. There's gonna be one person. So you gotta figure out who the Kyle Pitts lover is in your league. And if you need a tight end, you gotta get above them, right? Like that's kind of how you have to play it. But for me, late 1st round, I think is appropriate value. I think he's gonna be a good NFL player. And again, it depends on the scheme. I do not want a scheme where Kyle Pitts is gonna have to block, because I don't think he can do it. But late 1st round, I'm cool with that. Anything higher, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. Oh, we got a question.
Matt, you said somebody took him with the 101. I need you to reiterate that, because I feel like it went like this. I feel like it was quick. I need to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah, we got our initial sample of ADP. It's 8. Our initial sample was 8 mock drafts, and in just one of those, Kyle Pitts was the 101 off the board. And I don't know if somebody was just trying to bump up his ADP or somebody really loves him, but I will point out one more thing about Kyle Pitts too, and this is something I'm doing new this year in my rankings, and it's kind of an adjustment. I try to adjust my system every year, from things that I've missed on the year before, and I actually have Kyle Pitts and about 4 other guys listed as athletes instead of a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back, and that just helps me kind of evaluate their skill set a little bit better, because when I evaluated Kyle Pitts as a tight end, he didn't get that good of a score. Like, he didn't get a 1st round score, but in terms of his athleticism, his pass catching ability, he got a really good score for me. So he's not actually in my tight end rankings until he gets drafted as one, because I think it's probably a 10-15% chance, but I think there's a chance that he actually ends up playing really a wide receiver type role in the NFL.
Hey, if he was a wide receiver coming out right now, would he be a top 5 receiver for you?
Yeah, he would score, actually, so he would score just below my wide receiver 5. So he would technically be wide receiver 6, But wide receiver 5 right now is Rondale Moore. And as I'm kind of hearing more and more about him, I think he's going to end up sliding down the board because I think he might go a little bit later in the NFL draft than we originally thought. So, yeah, he might be right in that top 5 conversation.
That's tight.
All right, so Matt, there are a couple more tight ends out there. Who should be the number 2 tight end in your opinion, whether it's second round, third round? Who's the number 2 tight end after Kyle Pitts?
We're sleeping on Brevin Jordan out of Miami. Brevin Jordan in any other draft class would be getting so much hype right now. And he's just getting buried because of Kyle Pitts. And that's fine. Like, you want to try to compare them 1-to-1. They're not really the same player. Brevin Jordan, for me, is much more like the Evan Ingram type role. And I know Ingram's a little on the down right now, but take that in the best way. Because he is a solid blocker. He can definitely play that traditional inline position, but he's a crisp route runner. He's got really sticky hands. He's fluid. He's athletic. And so, for me, Brevin Jordan, he's the guy that I've kind of been hyping up for probably over about a year now. And in the most recent ADP, he's 211. So first tight end off the board is coming at 107. Second tight end is coming off of at 211. If I'm up there with the 211 and Brevin Jordan is on the board, I'm taking him 9 out of 10 times. I don't care if I even need a tight end. That's super good value for him.
Yeah, I was watching some film, and I actually like Brevin Jordan's physicality over Kyle Pitts. He just, he has that he's feisty. He's aggressive. He don't mind putting his neck or head in there. So
he'll hit you in the mouth.
Yeah, he will. He will. So I definitely like some Brevin. Let's talk about another guy out of Penn State. You like how I did that because I don't want to mess up his last name?
I was waiting. I was waiting if you were going to go for it.
All right, I can do that if you want. Pat Fryermuth. I don't know.
Come on, Vic. I see you.
I think that's right. I say it wrong. I say it different every time I say it. So, Fryermuth, I don't even know. I'll probably say it 3 times by the time I'm done, reading off my blurb on him. But I think, it's kind of interesting, right? We talked about Pitts kind of being more of the pass-catching hybrid type guy. And Fryermuth is on the other side of that, right? He's a little bit more of your traditional tight end. He's a really good blocker. And Brevin Jordan is somewhere in between. But I don't want you to think that means Fryermuth can't have good fantasy football value, because as much as he is a strong tight end, he also is aggressive getting downfield. He's really good with the ball in the air. He tracks the ball really well. He's one of these guys at Penn State. It's fun to watch his tape because they'll toss a ball up to him. He'll catch it, and like 3 guys will nail him as soon as he catches it, and they'll just kind of bounce off of him. So contact balance does not throw him off. He catches through traffic all the time. In terms of play style, you see a little of that Travis Kelce to him. His nickname is Baby Gronk, but I swear we name like every 3rd prospect Baby Gronk now. So, I see a little bit more of like the Travis Kelce in him because, you could keep him in line and he could make a career just blocking, but he's too talented with his hands to do that. So after those 3 tight ends, there's kind of a drop off and you're really swinging at the fences, but there's some sleepers later on. Kenny Yabo out of Ole Miss is good. Tony Poljan out of Virginia. There's some sleepers in the draft class.
Yeah, Obo had a nice catch, right? In the Senior Bowl, right? Was that practice or in the game? I don't remember.
Yeah, it all blends together. I think he made that in the game itself. But
okay, yeah,
he's somebody who gained a lot of momentum. And I'll be honest, I didn't even watch his tape until Senior Bowl week. I watched all the guys like getting ready for Senior Bowl week, and I was like, what have I been doing sleeping on this guy? Like, we got to hype him up a little bit because he's raw. Like, he's not going to contribute year 1, but if he develops a little bit with a coaching staff that can mold him, because before he was at Ole Miss, he was at Temple for a few years. So he just transferred to Ole Miss, got that last year in, and it kind of propelled his draft stock a little bit. But with a little bit more coaching, man, he could turn into a really refined pass catcher.
All right. Appreciate all these insights, man. Before we get into the closing, anything else you want to put out there?
Like in terms of prospects?
Yeah. Anybody else you want to touch on? Or
I mean, I always tell people you got to cut me off because I could just rant forever. But I will say, like, there's some guys who are really kind of gaining momentum right now. Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan, he's super explosive. He had a great Senior Bowl week. I've been trying to hype him up. He's kind of Will Fuller-esque for me. And his ADP right now is round 4. I promise you it'll be round 2 by the time we get to rookie draft season. And then the last guy I've been trying to hype up, he's not getting enough hype right now, is Jarrett Patterson out of Buffalo. Now, he's from a MAC school, so he doesn't get quite as much love, but this man is good. He led the MAC in rushing in 2019 and 2020, And he looks like a man amongst boys playing there in the MAC. Like, he is just running over these guys. You watch tape, and it's taken like 3 of these guys to drag him down to the ground, and he's still carrying them 5 yards forward. So he's somebody who I really like a lot. Another guy, he's going to go day 3, right? He's not going to start off as a starting running back, but that's the position I'm willing to take the upside shots at, because like I said, injuries happen so much at the running back position. Once he gets called up and gets his shot, I think Jarrett Patterson is a guy who could really take people by storm. And he's going to go in the 4th round of your rookie drafts. He's going to be one of those late round flyers, so you don't got to pay a lot for him, but I think it's going to be worth it taking that upside swing.
All right, hold on. Jarrett Patterson. All right. I got to get one up on Vic sometime, man. We in too many leagues together.
Yeah, bro. All right, Doc, walk us through the closing, man.
All right, so Matt, this is what we do at the very end of the episode. It gives all of us a platform and a stage to say something that's been on your mind for a while, or something you want to shout out, whether it be a person or a situation, just anything you would like to bring to the light right now. You get a chance, and we try to make sure it's positive. If you need to rant, we'll give you the space to do it too. But for the most part, we like to leave out on a positive note, good note, because you never know who's going to need to hear that. So that's what we're going to do. One of us will go first so you can have an example on how we ride out with it. And I'm going to throw it to Avo.
Always gets thrown to me. That's cool, though. I stay ready. I just want to remind everybody. Oh, first off, update. Tom Brady just might be the greatest quarterback of all time. Current scores in the 4th quarter, I'm pretty sure it's like 38-20 or something like that. Tom Brady's doing his thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Did Gronk score that first touchdown? I need to know for draft.
I don't know if it was the first one. It won't show me all the stats yet. So I don't know. But for everybody, just stay prayed up, man. Stay prayed up. We're going through a lot right now. It's Black History Month, so I think that's a good thing. We got a new president. I think that's a good thing. I think the little guy's starting to win. So that's a good thing. I don't really know what happened on Wall Street, but I know it was dope for the little guy. So, I know that's a lot of positive things going on. So I think we just need to keep moving in that positivity, keep spreading the love. I think we'll be good. Let's just keep going.
All right. Dynasty Bro Vic.
Man, I had went blank for a second. All right. Oh, so happy Groundhog's Day. Now let's get that out the way. Happy Black History Month, everybody. For me, I'm just thinking about Black history in general. I mean, I got to witness a Black president. I got to witness the first female VP, and she's Black. So I just think all that's dope. Just to be around and just to witness all this great history. So given that I'm talking about all this history, let's celebrate. I mean, let's not just make Black History a month for only Black folks or African-American folks to celebrate. I mean, let's open arms and, open arms to everyone. So let's just start embracing everybody's culture and celebrate these moments. So with that being said, I want to make some history. Matt, you're going to be the first white person I ever said Happy Black History Month to. So happy Black History Month. Let's make history, man. Let's keep making history. Let's celebrate.
I love it, man. I love it.
You might as well roll into your closing, Matt.
How am I supposed to follow that up?
No, I don't know. Wait. Follow mine. You want to follow mine? Mine isn't as strong.
Okay. All right.
Hey, everybody be safe. Take care of your bodies and your mental, because once again, I've been taking care of my mental. I've been real close with myself and my health. But man, pray for me. I'm going to med check right after this episode is up, and I hope my leg is all right. And if it ain't, I think I get workers' comp since I got hurt on the job. I'm pretty sure I get workers' comp since it happened on the job.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
See, take care of your body. Yeah, take care of your body, physical and mental. How about that, Matt? Is that an easier rollout?
I feel good. First off, I love this closing. I love this. Way to finish up the pod. Hey, listen, I just taught my first. So my real-time job, I work at a college and I teach, and this was my first class meeting of the semester. We start kind of late, and I actually just like an hour before we jumped on here, I finished my first class of the semester. And man, this pandemic is got everything messed up. Like, we're teaching online and stuff like that, and some days it's hard, but I love teaching these kids, and because my class in particular, they get to kind of like explore a little bit, like what their future is going to look like after college. We kind of help them with those transition skills, getting out of college, being what we call, those adulting skills. And it's cool, man. Like sometimes you just get to really like listen to people's journeys and help them along. And that's kind of what I'm coming off of right before I jumped on this podcast episode. So, I like that. Anytime you get a chance to take a moment, reflect on your journey, how you get there, it really helps. Like, I know it sounds a little cheesy, but you take 10, 15 minutes a day, think about, what's really going on, reflect, and that could really help you clear your mind and refocus those goals and where you're going next. So, I'm just kind of feeling the vibe you guys are throwing out there. It kind of lines up with what I was doing about an hour before we jumped on here. So that's pretty fun. It's not quite as good of a follow-up, but we'll take it.
It's better, man. My follow-up was cheesy.
I hope your leg's all right, man. That's what I'm worried about.
Hey, my guy was struggling. I'm glad he made it through the episode, man. Let me know if
that's dedication. That's dedication right there.
I apologize to the faces and shit I made. Hopefully y'all just listen to this episode because I was making some ugly faces, man. I apologize.
It's all good.
I thought you just really didn't like my takes. That's all.
Oh, nah, dude. I loved your takes, man. It's hard to explain, but I'll let everybody know how my leg go. I will be back next Tuesday no matter what. So we'll figure it out.
Hey, before we get out of here, Matt, I want to thank you for coming on, hanging out with us, sharing some of your knowledge and insights. Reminding people again where we can follow you at and all of your content and work.
Yeah, man, at the FF_educator on Twitter. And then, the podcast, like I do the rookie stuff year round. So if you're into this rookie stuff, check out the Rookie Big Board podcast. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get it. I'm also on YouTube, trying to build up that YouTube brand a little bit. And if you're trying to get really in-depth, get access to the Rookie Big Board, like I've been reading my notes off of this whole time, and it's got Dynasty rankings and Devy rankings on there too. That's patreon.com/the FF Educator. So, you know what? This is what I love doing. Like, this is my Super Bowl, my time of the year doing rookies and talking about the draft. So I love doing it, and I appreciate y'all having me on here. This is a fun time. It's a good way to wind down from the day. Like I said, I came just off of work, so this was a really fun time just to get on here and kind of cut it up a little bit.
Man, hey, thanks for coming on, and you're always welcome back. We're going to have to bring you back on so we can actually talk through some of these actual landing spots. So
yeah, the landing spots. Yeah, because everything's going to get flipped upside down, right, after the draft happens.
Yeah. And my leg will be healed, and I'll probably still make faces because I'm like, man, what happened to his first takes? And then I make the second takes, and we'll argue. Nah, I'm just playing. But we really do appreciate you on, man. You gave out a lot of good info tonight, man. You really did.
All right. With that being said, DJ Avo, man, walk us out, man. Did the game end?
It's not over yet. It's still 35-20, the GOAT. It looks like the GOAT might take this one. I'll make sure to put somewhere within one of our clips. You'll see who won this game. Right now, it's looking like the GOAT. I almost messed up my words. My bad. I've been drinking Ciroc. It's real good. Y'all stay up. All right, Vic, cut it off. We gone.